Okay, good evening, second English students. Now we will move on to prose genre. Okay, we have 5 prose lessons, and today in this video we will discuss women writing the nation. Second lesson, women writing the nation. Susi Tharu and K. Lalita, both joined together and wrote this book, and this is an extract of the book Women Writing the Nation. Okay, so in that extract they tell about women writers, especially Indian women writers, and what are all the difficulties that they underwent to write. So as we read the women literature, women's writings, we should not read in a normal way. We should have some kind of courtesy. It's not even a courtesy, it is completely different from male writing. Okay, so from that perspective only we have to write, and it is from female's point of view, and you have to mention this here also, that women undergo lots of suffering. Despite lots of suffering, lots of difficulty in their life, despite the difficulty, they manage to write, they manage to produce literature. So we have to give respect for women's literature, especially in India. Okay, so normal perspective, normal attitude cannot be given to women's literature. Okay, so that is the main idea of the lesson. This lesson is a short lesson, and it has only 2 paragraphs. 2 paragraphs only prescribed for us. So therefore, in this video itself, we will try to understand and analyze and discuss this lesson. Okay. So as I said, I am not going to write the summary on the board. You just listen carefully and make notes, and then submit it to me. Okay. So 2 paragraphs. First paragraph is the lengthy paragraph, long paragraph. So first paragraph, first point is that because of imperialism, there were hard times during 40s and 50s. Okay. So the first line, the first point is that because of imperialism, India suffered a lot. Not only India, all the colonized countries suffered a lot during 40s and 50s. Okay, and so because of the imperialism itself, new ideas were developed. New ideas, a new perspective about literature were developed. And what is our nation? Maximum after independence, all the after independence, maximum all the nation became a democratic nation. Okay, so kingship was almost abolished in all the countries. Today, kingship was almost abolished in all countries. Nepal was the only country followed the kingship, and that too also before 10 years it was abolished, and democracy was implemented. Even and the unfortunate thing is that in Myanmar, democracy was implemented, but again a military rule was implemented. Okay, so after independence, when Myanmar got independence, democracy was implemented, and within a few years of implementation of democracy, a military rule was implemented, and then again democracy was implemented, again military rule is going on. So this is the situation of Myanmar, and many people are still being killed. Okay, so almost every country has become a democracy except in Myanmar and in some other, except Myanmar, we have this problem. So when we don't have democracy, when there is monarchy, people suffer. Okay, so in 40s and 50s, the whole world, all the colonized countries suffered a lot, and because of that, new ideas about literature developed. Okay, new ideas of imagination, how we imagine and write literature, the perspective about life, and the scientific discoveries. We live in a democratic country, and what is the role of women, and what is the role of men, and what is the role of all citizens. Such kind of ideas develop. Such kind of ideas are developed after imperialism. Okay, after independence. So when this is the situation, lots and lots of new ideas are developing. Okay, say for example, in European literature we have modern literature, modernism and postmodernism, Marxism, and a new historian. Likewise, we discussed, we studied literary forms, and there we had lots of isms and lots of theories were developed in literature. Similarly, after independence, India has its own ideas. India has its own rather than India developing new ideas, they should go back to history. India is trying to rewrite the history. All the colonized countries, they are trying to rewrite the history. Europeans wrote history from their point of view, but we have to write our own history. We have to rewrite our history. Okay, so this is the case. Feminist literature, women's literature cannot be avoided. India should reinvent, reread and rediscover women's literature. Okay, I will say in Tamil literature we have the famous poet Avvaiyar, and actually three Avvaiyars were there in various historical moments. Before 3,000 years ago, there lived once a female poet named Avvaiyar lived, and after 500 or 700 years another Avvaiyar lived, and again after 500 or 600 years another Avvaiyar lived. And not only Avvaiyars, many female poetess and female writers were there in Tamil literature. Likewise, in all Indian literature, Hindi literature, Sanskrit literature, and Bengali, Telugu literature, there were female writers, but they were not well known as other male writers. So this is a problem. So women's feminist literature not only should focus on present feminism, but even the past history of Indian literature. We Indians should find out women's literature. So it is our responsibility and our focus. So Sasita Taru and K. Lalita insist that we have to go back to our literature, and we have to find out who are all the women writers, and how they write, and what are all their perspectives, what are all their philosophy. We have to read and analyze them. It is our responsibility. Okay, so in this situation, our present female writers, along with the past ancient female writers, we should not read them in a normal way, and we have to read from their perspective. And despite of being such a patriarchal society, they managed to write and they managed to publish their poetry and their stories. Okay, so we must understand what kind of struggle which they underwent when they wrote literature. Okay, so this is another important point that we Indians should focus on what kind of struggle and the conflict which they underwent when they wrote literature in those days itself. Okay, so when we read those literature, we cannot simply say that she is not equal to Bhadra, she is not equal to Tagore. Likewise, we simply cannot brand. Okay, despite of being such a patriarchal male chauvinistic society, they managed to write few literatures. Therefore, we simply cannot compare Tagore and other female writers. Okay, so that perspective should be done with our ancient female writers. So, despite of being such a patriarchal society, they managed to write. So, what kind of mindset that they had and what kind of struggle that they had, from that perspective, we have to read their literature. Okay, so the traditional feminist literature says that male or evil. There is male chauvinism in all male on all males. So, the feminist literature should present that ideas that about male chauvinism and male should change their attitude. Likewise, such things should be there. There is nothing wrong in it. But along with that, they should present the conflict of being women and how they struggle to write and how they struggle to publish their works. That also should be written by women. And women's literature, women should not only focus on imaginative or entertainment literature, they should focus on realities of the world. Okay, so this is another thing that Susi Saru and K. Lalita say, and they should focus on the realities of world, and especially how women, the plight, the position of women in this present world, and especially after independence, after imperialism. The modern literature and feminism should understand Indian literature and also understand what all the psychological thought process that underwent during the production of literature. So this is the idea repeated again, that is modern literature and feminism and modern literature and new modern critics and common people, they should understand that what kind of struggles which they underwent during the process of writing. Okay, they have their own problem, and lots of conflicts are there which they face when they write, and common people, readers should think on these aspects also when they read literature as well as when they read feminine literature. And women's literature to know historical composition, when present feminism is governed. So women's literature in present women's literature as well as the past women's literature, and they help to know the female world. Okay, the historical composition. Okay, see, this is the real history. This is the real idea. Okay, and still, of course, it is scientifically and historically proved that Mumtaz also loved Shah Jahan, and the reality is that Shah Jahan killed Mumtaz's husband, and then he married her as 14th wife. Okay, so we are not very sure that really Mumtaz loved him or not. That we do not know, and what kind of suffering that she underwent. Of course, today we have scientific evidence that Mumtaz also loved Shah Jahan, but when we think about that incident today, even the construction of Taj Mahal, many people suffered a lot, and actually Shah Jahan killed Mumtaz's husband, and that is also wrong. Wrong. So such things are there, and what is the position of women in Mughals rule, and that thing should be focused when we read Mughals literature, and when we read Mughals women's literature, Mughal women's literature. Okay, such thing on that perspective we have to read and analyze. We should read women's literature not simply as women's agony as mature entrance, but the universal declaration and implied politics. So again, let me tell. So you should read women's literature not simply as women's agony or spiritual endurance, but universal declaration and the implied politics. So feminism and the women's literature. So this is women's agony. This is the women's struggle. This is all the sufferings of women. We should not read from that perspective alone, and we should think about the universal declaration. So what can we do now? Okay. Let's say the work, the household work which women do, that should be recognized. Okay, so women cook a lot in a house, and she cleans the house, and she cleans utensils. So the domestic work, the household work, and women are not paid salary, and if at all they are paid salary, the husband should pay salary for that work, and that work matters a lot. Because of that work, man is able to go out of the home, and he is able to work. And if he doesn't have home, and if the home is not clean, he cannot live in the home. Okay, so therefore doing the household work, doing the domestic work, housewife, homemakers doing domestic work is actually improving Indian economy. Okay, that is the reality, and for that they are not being paid, and this is also a kind of injustice, and this actually hampers the Indian economy. So therefore now for today, in the manifesto itself, DMK and ADMK both parties say that homemakers will be paid salary. Okay, that is the thing they said, and this is implemented only today, and after discussing for more than 10 years, this is implemented today. Okay, so the universal declaration is that homemakers should be paid. Their work should be recognized. Okay, the husband itself earning meager amount, and how can he share his money with the wife, and to pay salary for the household work that she does. So this is a problem. But when this is the problem, the husband should recognize the wife's domestic work. Okay, the recognition matters a lot. Women's identity, women's recognition matters a lot. Okay, so this is the universal declaration that we have to do. Okay, so that is why it is given the universal declaration. What kind of universal declaration that we have to do? So the universal, this one I am giving one example. Okay, so the universal declaration is that we must recognize, especially men and husband, we must recognize women's domestic works. Okay, or domestic jobs. So that is one universal recognition. Of course, despite this is a universal declaration, but still many women themselves and men are not accepting. And similarly, another point is that victim blaming should be stopped, whatever the cause could be. However, when have fault, we should stop victim blaming, and sexual violence should be punished at any cost. They cannot be justified. So this is the universal declaration which many people are not willing to accept. If there is a rape case, yes, why did this girl went out of the home after 10 o'clock? Why did she come out of the home at 12 a.m.? This is the mentality of many people. Women themselves think like that. Why do you dress in this way? Why do you talk with boys? Why do you talk with men? So this is such kind of victim blaming out there today, and because of this, rape incidents cannot be stopped. So the universal declaration is that victim blaming should be stopped at any cost. So these two examples are universal declaration. So stop victim blaming, and domestic work should be, women's domestic work should be recognized. So they are all examples of universal declaration. And the implied politics. Okay, see, again, politics in the sense the history and everything is written from a male's point of view. Male, in order to enjoy themselves, they frame their own rules and regulations. Okay, so when this is this is a problem here, and let's say Jackie Chan and Rajini, and I think Rajini is getting 100 crores for each movie, and Vijay gets 80 crores for each movie, and Ajit gets 60 crores for each movie. And the dates, let's say 100 days or 200 days, whatever it could be. Nowhere even in the world, actress is not being paid so much. Okay, probably Nayanthara gets 5 crores. Just imagine Rajini gets 100 crores and Nayanthara gets 5 crores. Okay, so economy, and there are some politics behind that. Okay, and let's say there were various feminist waves, and women empowerment ideas were developed in America itself. Even America itself, even today, there is no female president. Okay, so there was one black president, that is Barack Obama, and fortunately he managed to become president. But even today, there is no female president. America doesn't have any female president. I think Kamala Harris, I don't know her name. She was the first. She's the first vice president. That too, a female became a vice president under Joe Biden's administration. Okay, so that is the situation, and there are always implied politics in our life, and how women are enslaved. Such things should also be discussed and analyzed in women's right. Okay, and we find negotiations, debate, protest, and what is meant to be women in each historical moment. Okay, so we all should have a discussion, and we must change the mentality, the ideas. We should frame universal declarations that what we have to do and what we should not do, and we should understand females' mentality and predicament, and what is the role of women in each historical mode, what is the role of women in during British rule, what is the role of women in Mughals rule, and what is the role of women in Sangam age, and everything should be discussed. And what did they do is right, what did they do is do is wrong. Such things should be discussed and analyzed, and what is the role of female in each historical moment, that should be discussed properly. Okay, so let me move to the second paragraph. So Taru and Lalita trace how the ancient literature recreated the world. They focus on three themes which focus on understanding of gender and nation in process. See how ancient literature recreated the world. Okay, so it is literature actually recreated the world, and because of literature only new ideas, what is good and what is wrong, that they are all discussed. Because of circle, okay, this is the thing we have to do, this is the thing we should not do. That thing is understood because of literature. So literature is actually recreating the world, and when this is the thing, we must focus on three themes. Okay, so first theme is the nationalist movement. So in this nationalist movement, what is the role of women? Okay, nationalist movement in the sense, and that is the freedom movement. In the freedom movement, what is the role of women? Okay, we must not simply ignore women's role in freedom movement. We must talk about women's role in freedom movement. Okay, so that is the first theme, and this theme should be discussed in literature, and especially in during imperialism world, we must think about this one. Okay, that is what is the role of women in during the nationalist movement. And the second theme is the issues of gender. Okay, see, actually this is my own perspective. Still, I have to improve myself as a male, and I have to change the male chauvinistic male dominance attitude. Let's say, actually, okay, if I'm not male chauvinist, likewise, I'm thinking, but unknowingly and unconsciously, I behave at that moment, I became a male chauvinist. Okay, because actually I do not know what is real feminism and what is correct and how the relationship should be done. Okay, say for example, what is it? Let's say the pregnancy period, or what kind of psychological and physical changes that women undergo during periods. What kind of psychological changes and what kind of psychological support can be done by a husband or a male when women have periods, when they have menstrual cycle. Okay, that even today, even after becoming a professor, that still I do not know. Okay, so but that because in society I was not taught so. Okay, and in the process of my living, I simply ignored what should I do and what I should not do in this relationship. I simply ignore it. So this is a problem, and so they are all examples of issues of gender. Okay, so this is one example, and on each aspect they should be discussed, and literature should tell all these minute gender issues. Okay, so this is about the second theme, gender issues, and final theme is the transition from male dominance to women's movement. Okay, so the final theme is that we cannot accept male dominance, and when there are 10 male writers, and equally there should be 10 more female writers. Even today, film directors, 90% of film directors are male, and we have a little bit, a few female directors, female writers. So this is the situation, and we have to accept the transition. Men should accept the transition, and women also should come out of the house, and we must accept the change. Okay, So women's literature should focus on these things. Okay, both in ancient women's writing as well as modern women's writing. Okay, so women's writing attempt to tell us how mainstream literature unknowingly enslaved women in India to give ideas or futures of 70s women's movement. So the women's writing attempt to tell how mainstream literature unknowingly enslaved women. Okay, so mainstream literature, mainstream entertainment, they unknowingly encourage enslavement of women. Okay, so this should be stopped at by any cost. Okay, and in YouTube videos I saw even the Arjun Reddy is such a male chauvinistic character, and such kind of male chauvinism is celebrated in that movie. In the name of love, actually I really love that girl, and under that banner he actually enslaves a girl and he beats her. So such kind of things are there in the shown in that movie, and the character is actually glorified. That character cannot be glorified, and it should be portrayed that he is a evil character. Okay, so the mainstream movies unknowingly enslave women. So this happens even in literature. That awareness should be there, and such kind of male chauvinistic unknowingly, subconsciously, unconsciously they inject such kind of male chauvinistic attitude. So such things should be discussed and analyzed. And actually this book was published in 70s. The 70s women's movement, 70s the feminist movement should focus on these areas. That's how the paragraph second defends, and that is the prescribed syllabus for us. Still many things are discussed by Sathi Tharu and K. Lalita, but the first two paragraphs are given and prescribed as a syllabus. So now I declare that this lesson, second lesson in prose women's writing, women writing the nation is over. Okay. So the idea is that, the most important idea is that it is our responsibility, Indians' responsibility, to reread, to rediscover women's writing in our ancient literature, in our traditional literature. And women writing should be encouraged, and so we cannot simply say that we cannot simply compare women writing and men's writing. When we analyze and compare, when we judge, we cannot equally okay, he is not only Bharatiya is the greatest writer, Tiruvallur is the greatest writer, Tagore is the greatest writer. Such thing cannot be done. We must understand that despite of being patriarchal society, they managed to write some literature. And what kind of difficulty which they underwent during that time, and despite lots of difficulties, they managed to write such thing. Under that perspective, we have to read women's literature, and there should be change in male dominance. Gender issues should be discussed, and the role of women in national movement, and what kind of universal declaration that we make, what kind of politics that they are doing. Everything should be discussed in women's literature. We must have a change. Okay. So what are the points that we have to, let me again revise, so what are the points that you have to write is that so after imperialism, after India suffered a lot, not only India, all the colonizer countries suffered a lot during 40s and 50s, and after independence there were lots of changes in literature, in people's lives, everything changed. Similarly, feminism movement also developed in India and all over the world. Okay. So, when feminist literature is developed, we cannot simply say that men are evil. Likewise, women's feminism is not only that the men are evil. That is also discussed, but the suffering that she undergoes, and that the struggles that women underwent during that period, both in ancient days as well as in the modern age. That thing should be discussed, and women's literature, they cannot simply analyze, we cannot simply judge women's literature based on aesthetic terms. Women's literature is more of reality, and modern women's literature should focus more on the realities rather than simply a simple imaginative aesthetic world. They focus on reality and how women suffer, and that's the idea of women's writing. And the psychological process, when male write, he write from male's point of view. There is always male dominance in their literature. When female write, she has her own psychological problems, and that is those things should be analyzed, and then women's agony should be discussed. What kind of universal declaration that we have to do, that should be discussed in women's literature, and implied politics, and what is the role of women in each historical moment. Everything should be discussed in women's writing, and because the title says it is actually women writing the nation. What all women's writing in a nation, everything should be discussed. And so literature is recreating the world. As literature is recreating the world, we have to analyze, take into consideration three major things. First is what is the role of women's movement in a national freedom movement, and then the gender issues, what various gender issues, everything should be considered in women's literature. And the third point is that how mainstream literature is male dominated and male chauvinistic ideas, unknowingly, unconsciously, how the mainstream literature is influenced women. Everything should be discussed in women's literature, and this is what this idea should be there in 1970s women's movement and women's literature. Okay, so let me complete this lesson in this video itself. So that's the end of this lesson, Women Writing the Nation by Sasi Tharu and K. Lalitha. Okay, thank you.